Number one. Little Bass Pro Shops flipping jig. Nice little 3-pounder, close to it. All right, so it is spring of the year. These fish are moving up. They're trying to spawn. We had a big rain last night, cold front. So a lot of fish are up here looking for beds. So we're gonna kind of, play the conditions today. We've got some watercolor to our advantage here. So we're gonna use some darker color baits like this jig. And we're just gonna kind of go down the bank here and blind bed fish some of these likely looking places and try to intercept some of these fish that are spawning or setting up to spawn. Little guy. We've been out here for just a little while and they seem to be biting. So we had a lot of rain, a big cold front. In a lot of places throughout the country, especially around the spawn, it'll kind of slow that spawning process up. But these pre-spawn fish, especially here in the Ozarks, can get a little bit fired up. So right now we're targeting some of these banks that are leading into coves, some of these channel swings that are kind of towards the back of these coves near spawning pockets, and fish likely looking places where we can actually visualize a bed being there. God dang, I thought he was a big one. He's got a big belly on him, that's for sure. Eating all those shad. But he ran away from that log like there might be another one in there. Any kind of stump, bigger rock, this rock has some gravel mixed in, are really good places for these fish to set up and spawn. So when I feel like I'm around a fish, when I feel like I'm around a really good piece of cover, and like if I can visualize a bed, I'm gonna let that jig just set in there for as long as I can stand it. Try to visualize a fish being in there and looking at your bait, and what we're doing is just kind of blind bed fishing at that point. It's a fatty. Male, he's peeing right there, but nice keeper fish. Got a big pop belly, and he's sitting right next to that little lay down, a little bit of gravel, getting ready to spawn. Whenever you're close to some of those buck bass, those females are right behind them or nearby. A lot of times when you do catch a male, you want to throw back in there a couple more times and see if that female wasn't in there with him. Make sure she didn't pull up on the nest after you cleared him out. So that's the big key. This water's jumped up here, 1.5 feet probably overnight. So, a lot of these beds are going to be out a little bit deeper today. So they may not necessarily not be in deeper water, but they're going to be out off the bank a little bit further. A lot of times, these fish will spawn pretty close to the bank where you can see them with your eyes. But with the conditions we got today, a lot of these fish are going to be backed up off the bank just a little bit. Still probably in that, 5-6 foot or less. But, we're just going to try to throw it out there and kind of drag it across where their beds were. More of the right kind. That fish was likely spawning or getting ready to spawn on that piece of cover. It was like a little stump or small lay down underwater. And basically threw up there with that jig and worked it real slow, and he bit it. But yeah, likely a bed, just 5-6 feet off the bank. It is almost time for all these fish to flood the banks, and we're getting some of these first ones that are moving up here. So I'm fishing a half-ounce jig. This is just a compact jig from Bass Pro Shops, just a little flipping jig, black and blue. And I've got a green pumpkin and blue Bass Pro Shops trailer on the back of here too. I believe that's their swimming chunk is what they call that. As far as the rod goes, I've got a Johnny Morris Carbon Light Tech series, a 7-foot 4-inch heavy. I've got several of these rods with the same reel on here, which is a 8:3:1 Carbon Light from Bass Pro Shops, so really fast gear ratio, so you can take up the slack in that line quickly when you do get a bite. I usually use 20 or 25 pound line when I'm throwing any kind of a flipping bait, especially around laydowns. Super important for me as a tournament angler, and you never want to lose that fish, which is always a possibility when these big ones are up shallow spawning. Decent fish. There's a couple of them right there. I'm gonna put my power poles down. Nice little keeper. A lot of times you can flip right up in the middle of these log jams, regardless of the time of year. You know, if they got a little bit of water in them. Usually there's some bait fish, bluegill, and it always provides a little bit of shade, which isn't necessary when they're spawning quite as much as, you know, post-spawn. But picking out coves with, you know, kind of a flatter taper to them, usually a little bit smaller rock, and then fishing the available cover. So I'm going to show you just kind of how go about picking a pocket. You know, really it's about covering water. So this is a major creek arm. We're going into some of these major creeks or just coves off of the main lake here, and we're seeking out these spawning pockets, or, you know, little coves off of these major creeks where these fish can eventually get in here and spawn. And so what they're doing is they're moving into these coves, and it could be, you know, a small little nook in the bank, just like you have here in the back of this creek, or it could be one of these major coves as well. Really, it's about covering water this time of year. You want to get in and out of these coves and fish any visible cover that you can find. It's about getting into the back, I would say the back half or the back third of these pockets, and just looking around in this shallow water. I really like, you know, gravel or transition type banks where the rock goes from larger rock to small gravel. You know, little gravel washes that are in the back of these pockets are all, you know, really good places to look. Kind of that perfect rock right here. Got a little bit bigger boulders mixed with some of that nice small gravel. They can kind of make their nest right in between that bigger rock and the gravel. The males are up there, ain't they? That's a nice healthy fish. Another keeper. Just got to keep on plucking away with this jig, and sooner or later we'll put it in front of one of those big females up there spawning.